So for those of you who watched part 1 of my Boyds at 1 review, I know there wasn't much to see, but now we have everything bedded and ready to go. So welcome to Dose of Freedom, and this is part 2 of the Boyds at 1 stock review. So as far as the way the stock performs, it's a beautiful piece of art. That's all I have to say. It's very comfortable. You could almost fall asleep laying on this thing. The adjustments, pretty much just set them and forgot about it, but I have had other people try it, and I like a very solid cheek weld. So I push with all I have on my cheekbone to really, settle this in my rear bag. And I shoot best that way. Some people do not. A friend I let shoot it likes very little cheek pressure when he shoots. So what he did is he just lowered it one click down, and he said it was perfect. He could see through the scope without any obstruction, any issues, and then when he's all done, I just adjust it back up again. Most of the time with bedding anyways, you'll either see no change or you'll see an improvement. Very rarely do you, unless it's done improperly, I'd imagine, would you see a negative impact on bedding your rifle. One thing we have to address here, in part 1, if you watched it, I did an overview of the stock the night before I sent this out to my gunsmith. And he got back to me like a week and a half later and told me he was getting ready to drill in, and he noticed if he put a magnet on these two little dots here, they're actually steel pins that they put in for reinforcement. For some reason, I mean, the stock is laminate. It's extremely sturdy. I can see doing that with like a polymer stock or something, but it's kind of weird that they would do that in here. Maybe at the price range, they figured people wouldn't be bedding them. I'm not really sure. But he voiced a concern about drilling down into the stock and actually catching one of those steel pins and torquing the entire stock, ruining it. He's the expert. He's been doing it for a very long time, and I asked him what he suggested. He said he could go part way with bisonite. So what I have now, I'm going to show a picture of it, is I have a bisonite bed, and then I have an AccuGlass single feed ramp that was put in, and then he went in part way into the action screw holes with bisonite. So it's only a partial pillar bed with the bisonite due to those steel pins. So it's just something to look at. You may be able to get away with just drilling into it, but it's not a risk I was willing to take. If I had the money for 2 of them, I would have done it. Or I would imagine that you can drill away at these plugs, drift out these steel pins, and fill it. It's a lot of work to do for a stock that is around $200. So the bedding was around $175. So right now we're looking at $375 shipped, bedded, and ready to go. Okay, so just taking a very quick look here. Very, very comfortable. I thought this was a hardened plastic. It isn't. It's very, very soft, more like a hardened rubber. And my cheek weld, I mean, everything is perfect right now. I'm able to put down good amount of pressure, but I'm not on my jawbone anymore. Really, after shooting like 100 rounds at the range, my jawbone was just getting sore from having to push down in order to get proper groups. I find that a stiff cheek weld was giving me the best accuracy. And so this really, really improved on that. Other things to mention, right here, the palm swell, I have the standard ones. They sell Target ones. I say the standard ones is a great change from the regular stock. They have the Target ones, which are a bit fatter, gives you more to grab onto, but I really shoot, I load into my bipod very little, and the rest of it's mostly free recoil. So I don't really hold this. I might rest my hand on it as a guide, and as a guide, it does a really good job of that. Also, I lessen the length of pull. And this helped me stay square to the rifle, where before I feel like I was kind of at an angle like this. So now I'm able to get right on it. We're right on target. Crosshairs aren't moving at all, and I'm talking. Everything just feels more sturdy this way. Let's see how she does. So I guess it's worth mentioning that this was my first time using the rifle basics trigger. I just put it in prior to coming out and reshooting the group you see unraveling before you now. And I have this trigger set at 4 ounces, where before the factory AccuTrigger was set to 1 pound. So it's a little bit different. I know for a fact that I pulled 2 of these shots. I'm not really sure which 1 ounce matters. I think the group could have been better, but I'm still really happy with it, and this is definitely better of a group than I was getting previous. I used to have a lot of inconsistencies, I guess. You'd have a really good group going, and then all of a sudden you'd have 2 shots seemingly in a group on their own. Still a good group, but you're aiming at the same point of aim. You have 2 different groups, different point of impacts. So the stock definitely fixed these issues. So on top of being more comfortable, I'm definitely seeing an increase in consistency. This is also repeatable. This isn't something that, I went out the first time, shot, did bad, and then came out and tried again and again and again until I got something that was good. The results have been really repeatable with these hand loads. So really quick, we'll talk about what's happening with this little bastard right here. He actually landed right on the bullseye. I'm sighted in a little below because I don't like to destroy my point of aim with my point of impact. And the thought did occur to me to just shoot him. But I just figured if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, because we're trying to shoot for group size, and I didn't want to have to, refilm again and shoot another group by destroying it just because I couldn't stand a little fly. So he's in this thing, and if I see him next time, he'll be dead. So what we saw was some really good performance from the setup right here. I'm going to throw this up right now, and as you can see on your screen, we have a really tight group. It was 6 shots. The one up top, what happened was I kind of figured I was zeroed for 200, but at the last minute I just completely spaced it. So that first shot was actually a 200-yard zero that I had on my previous outing. I adjusted back down to 0, and then we have this group you see here. It's actually 6 shots because I couldn't remember if I had just fired 4 or if I had fired 5. So just to be sure, I put another one in. I also feel like this could be a little tighter because I feel like on a couple of them I jerked. The reason for this is because I'm actually doing 2 videos today. I'm using the footage from the stock video, and I'm actually using some of the footage for the basics trigger video, so look for that as well. And it was that was my very first shot ever with that rifle basics trigger, and it took me a little while to get used to. I know this is a good group. I'm actually very happy with it. It's just I also know that I jerked 2 of the shots that are in this group. So that's all we have for you today. Like I said, really good performance. I would highly recommend this stock. I'm not sure how it's going to perform before it's bedded, because I had it bedded before I even took a shot. But you know, even so, if you got to do some tuning of your action screws, I think this is a really good quality stock, really solid, and you're getting it for an incredible price. So if this video is like a year old or whatever, and you're just barely now getting around to checking this stock out, feel free to ask me any questions about how it's holding up, if I still have the rifle, yada yada yada. That's all we have for today. Thank you for watching.